If you love Baltimore sports, you'll love WNST.net.
You got 5 minutes, man. Go for it.
All right, I'm going to talk a little bit about what I think is the biggest contributor to becoming a better and more informed sports fan in the new millennium. Believe it or not, it's fantasy sports. I mean, get this. 50 million people worldwide are involved in some form of fantasy sports. 50 million. Think about that, fans. I mean, it used to be 10, 12, 15 years ago, anybody that had a fantasy team, they called them geeks. Remember that? You're a fantasy geek. But now, with 50 million people involved, if you don't have a team, now you're the geek. You're on the outside looking in. And what it does, it makes you become a better sports fan. You have to do your research. You have to pay attention to things. You really have to dig deep if you want to be successful. You know, thanks to fantasy sports, I now know that Joel Przybilla of the Portland Trail Blazers can come off the bench and get me 12, 14, 16 rebounds in about 18 minutes. You know, it has a real galvanizing, unifying force, does fantasy sports. And also, you know, keep it a little bit local here. You know, there's probably some kid in, say, some town, I don't know, Sun Valley, Idaho, who drafted Chris Ray of the Orioles thinking he's going to eventually supplant George Sherrill. He's going to get the saves instead of George Sherrill. And this kid in Sun Valley, Idaho, he's going to look like a genius. So he goes online, he does his research, he learns more about the Orioles. And again, it unifies sports fans throughout the country. But you know the great thing about fantasy sports, you know, you might be in a league where you win, you know, a little bit of money, you know, some jing, some wampum, who knows, or maybe a dopey trophy, something like that. But the real great thing about fantasy sports, and why people do it, and let's be honest, it's all about bragging rights. You want to tell guys, hey, I'm smarter than you are, I know more about sports than you do. Hey, you didn't know that after not pitching for 2 years, Chris Carpenter was going to come back and make his 2009 debut and pitch a one-hitter? You didn't know that? That's too bad. I knew it. You didn't. I'm better than you are. Hey, you didn't know that Steve Slayton was going to run for 1,200 yards last year for the Texans? You didn't know that? That's too bad. I knew it. You didn't. So it's all about the bragging rights. And make no mistake, the real GMs, the ones that make a lot of money doing this, the guys that do it professionally, they think just like you. They want to find diamonds in the rough. They want to buy low, sell high. And we've got one of the greatest GMs here in town, Ozzie Newsome. Is just remarkable. And I mean, think about it. Remember a few years ago, 2003, Terrell Suggs was falling down the draft board? But Ozzie, he saw something. He said, you know what? I'm going to take that guy. I think he can do something special. And now he's one of the best pass rushers in the NFL. So more genius Ozzie. And last year, just last year, with Joe Flacco, you know, a lot of people are like, well, you know, he goes to a small school, Delaware, I don't know. You know, it might take him 4 or 5 years to develop as an NFL quarterback. But Ozzie, he saw something. He's like, no, he's my guy. I'm going to get him. I'm going to take the gamble. I'm smarter than you are, other GMs. And look what happened. He took him all the way to the AFC Championship game. Now, Andy McPhail, we're still not sure, you know, how he relates to this whole diamond in the roughs things. But the one thing that is really standing out and has a lot of Baltimore fans chirping is his devotion to Felix PA. He's trying to lock in with Felix PA, and people are like, why is he doing that? We've got plenty of left fielders. We've got Luke Scott that can play. We've got Montanez in the minor leagues. We've got Reinhold in the minor leagues. Why is he locked in with Felix PA? Well, let me tell you this. Felix PA, guys, and this goes directly to the guys, is a lot like that cute girl who winks at you at the bank. Or, you know, he's a lot like that pretty girl that you work with and who flirts with you a little bit. And Felix PA has been flirting and winking and batting his eyelashes at Andy McPhail for about 6 years. Remember, he was the top of the list of prospects forever. 5-tool guy. He's going to revolutionize the outfield. He can do everything. Every year, he was listed as a top prospect. So Andy McPhail is bitten. He's like, you know what? I'm going to take my shot with Felix PA. If it works out, I'm going to look like a genius, and I can say to other GMs, I'm smarter than you are. And then finally, I'm going to wrap things up with the Masters. And I think the great thing about the Masters this weekend, if you looked at it, I mean, it was fantastic that Tiger and Phil were paired up in a final matchup there down the stretch. But in the sudden death, I mean, look who you had out there. You know, Angel Cabrera, Kenny Perry, and Chad Campbell. None of these guys is going to be doing a Bowflex commercial anytime soon. So they're like regular guys. Angel Cabrera, I mean, he's a chain smoker. You know, Kenny Perry's almost 50 years old, and he had a chance to win the Masters, and that really, I mean, it helps us relate. You know, these look like regular guys, and it looks like we could be one of those guys putting on the green jacket. My name is Todd Salkowski, and I want to thank you so much for listening.
If you love Baltimore sports, you'll love WNST.net.